Hello, welcome to a special episode of No Holds Barred Pod. We've got a guest who I'll throw to in a minute to introduce herself. As always, that's Sal, and
that
I'm
is
Don
McGowan.
Oh yeah.
You
so
fluffed
we've got
that.
I know, I messed it up, but it doesn't matter.
You've been
See, this
smashing
is
the
the thing,
intro for
Nina.
weeks, and you fluffed it.
I know. 78 episodes we've done of this thing.
Really?
It's so hot. I'm like, yeah, something like that. Yeah. So,
more than, because some of them are doubles.
yeah, true. And we recorded from a McDonald's in Portugal at one point last summer. But yeah, anyway, enough of that rambling. Let's go to Nina. Do you want to introduce yourself, Nina, and say hi and tell us all about what you do?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Nina Doran. I'm here because I've been invited because I'm a member of the Women Against the Far Right. I'm a trade union activist for UCU. I'm a teacher and yeah, there you go. Was a member of the Labour Party, now a member of your party, but not active there yet. So watch this space.
Fair dues. Cool. How did you get into politics, can I ask? It just fascinates me.
Well, in the day, I'm well older than a lot of people on this podcast, but in the day it was probably through CND
I don't think you are.
I did a degree in politics and government, but that kind of turned me off politics for a little while when I got back from that. Yeah. And then I suppose I've always been on the peripheral, but it wasn't until I became a union rep in my workplace that I became a lot more active in campaigning. But I've always been in like a charity. So I was in a domestic abuse charity for a while as a trustee. So that was kind of where I was putting my efforts. Remember Tony Benn always said about getting into your community groups and things like that. So that really resonated with me at the time. Yeah. And so 25 years later, I was doing that until recently.
So you're a lifelong good egg.
That's incredible. Sounds like it.
Well done.
And now we find ourselves.
Yeah. I'm a do-gooder. I'm not a do-badder, I say. Some people say that, don't they? They go, are you a do-gooder? I'm like, yeah, well, opposed to a do-badder, yeah, I'm a do-gooder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely the best way to be.
We need more of that.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So what's the origin of Women Against the Far Right? Do you know? Have they come out of Stand Up to Racism?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, the origins for me was going shopping in town on a Saturday, and then I saw a few people on, with a small banner, like a makeshift banner. I think it was just before Christmas. It was freezing, and there was a few far right fascists lingering around, and then there was a few like counter protesters lingering around on Church Street, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm into this. I just stepped down as the chair of the domestic abuse charity. So I was a little bit at a loose end, kind of regretting it and then thinking, what am I going to do next? And then I knew a few people from the union who were there and I was like, what's going on? And it was basically like that. I was like, what is happening?
This? Yeah.
And then I went on the next one and then it was like, right, and it was just all WhatsApp, were you available? I was like, yeah, I'm available. And then it was all organising the launch. And it was basically who's got time, and I had time. So
yeah, well, that's it. I also have time. I just don't have a lot of anything else, but I do have time and I want to use it for the good because Christ, we need it, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And making the time as well, wasn't it? So it's a bit like, right, I'm just going to rejig stuff and make the time. I mean, ironically, because of the way that the far right have been using all the issues about women, and I just stepped down from the domestic abuse trustee group, I was like, oh my God, I was just like, what the hell?
How is this still? Yeah.
I was like,
it's insane, isn't it?
Yeah. You cannot have that narrative. There's no way you're having that narrative. I'm going to have to either get back on to the trustees if they'd have me and do something more about raising awareness or go this way. So I kind of fancied the Women Against the Far Right more than that. Step forward, doing something different than doing the same old stuff I'd been doing before.
Do you find it quite shocking, just because I really do, how few people are aware of the threat on the horizon?
Yeah, you know, I suppose trying to get people to come to the launch, although we didn't have to try too hard because it basically worked really well, didn't it? It was a sellout,
Yeah.
pretty much as soon as it went on Eventbrite. But certainly some family and friends, they were, and activists were a bit like, yeah, in agreement, but not necessarily wanting to turn up. Although some did, some of the women in my family certainly did.
Yeah.
And a few of my friends
Cool.
did, but not everybody. I think they thought Reform, UKIP, even, the flag wavers were oddballs. I don't think they really saw them as mass in any way or organised in any
Yeah.
way. But I think they thought they were on the periphery. And because Labour are in government, that we're in, again, that problem that we have, that when Labour gets into government, we kind of take the foot off the gas a bit, don't we? And it's a bit like,
Yeah.
no, we're not in safe hands at all.
We
So
can't,
Not
no,
at all
and
at
we
the
can't
moment.
because
rely on
Labour are
them
not
at
Labour, are
all.
they?
So a little bit of that. I mean, yeah, most of my family and friends are socialists, so but just not as active as I thought they would be at the beginning of the year. But a couple of the events that we've been
Yeah.
to, Sally, then they've started to show up. So I think they're getting it, definitely.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, I'm going to be interested. There's a 12 till 2 stall we're having in Church Square in St Helens on Saturday this weekend. And I don't know how many people are going to turn up. It concerns me because this area is ripe for reform taking. Because Labour have just mashed it for about 12 years. I think she's been there.
Well, that's on my radar, although I can't come. So that's arrived in my inbox, and I'm hoping, with all the pushing it out the way that we have, it'll be as successful as 21st was when I first met you physically, Sally. I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So let's hope that they do. There is a sense of urgency. Fingers crossed.
I do a lot of my campaigning online because a lot of the time I'm stuck in bed because I'm not very well, and that's easy enough to do. But I actually haven't considered translating that into the real world. So when you said to me on the coach, "Have you got any ideas?" I was a bit like, "Oh, I haven't. Shit, I've normally got loads of ideas, and so I don't really know how to, apart from going out and talking to people, which is something I need to get over myself and do. I don't know what else can we do? How can we attract people to the cause?
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what was suggested. I mean, because they weren't my ideas either. I just collated them. But what came up from the coach load of people, because there was a few people, young and old, who'd never been on a demo before on that coach. Loads of experience across other things, though, film, media, which was really cool. But certainly not necessarily putting their body on the streets, that sort of thing, which is what we're talking about, aren't we? Is about turning up, showing presence. And I don't know what that is about that, about putting your body or getting your feet on the streets, but
it's leaving the house, I think. People are knackered.
What's that?
Thing is, people they're just too knackered to leave the house because they've been working.
Yeah, it could be that, and they're like, don't see, again, as you said before, not really seeing the urgency of needing to make the time with that. So it could be that workers are working so hard, working long hours again, or working for free, overtime, that sort of stuff. That's kind of creeping in, is it? Or they're knackered through intense working. It could be that, or it's just a little bit of what you said, not really seeing them as a threat. Until you come to one, so on the 21st, and you see it face to face, and I think that really does. Two things I think happens. One is you see it for yourself, that direct experience, and then secondly, you are, well, hopefully there's it's infectious. Like you feel like you need to go to the next one.
Yeah.
And the next one.
Well, yeah.
So there's that kind of like, God, that's nasty. That's problematic. That's that's fearful. But then also there's hope.
Yeah.
And that, the togetherness of people coming to challenge it then becomes that like, well, that's the thing that I'm in, I'm interested in.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because like the far right are obviously getting a pretty nasty bunch, a lot of them, and you see some pretty horrible sites online of the sort of intimidation and sort of threats that they put towards people. Does that, you just said it can galvanize people, because is that what the bigger effect, or is it putting people up, making them scared off when they see that in real life?
I think, well, I can only like talk for myself. So when you see something, in front of you, and it happened on Sunday in the Palestinian demonstration in town, there was a handful of people being nasty, basically, charging and being in your face a bit. Being a bit ludicrous, a bit like when you see a lot of drunken people, out on a Saturday night.
They can't do it sober, can they?
It's like, what are you doing? So in one way, it's like, what are you doing? So you're a bit like, oh my God, what are they doing? Making a nuisance of themselves, being a head case. And then when they've got the flag, they're all emboldened. So I don't know if I was on my own, I'd be a little bit like unnerved, but it wouldn't last long. But I've grown up with this. Maybe if you're on your own and you're new to it, you'd need to be in a group. So one of the suggestions from the coach was we stick together a little bit more. If we're coming off the coach, give people options, waiting points and stuff, so that we do stick together, especially because London was so big, wasn't it, for the demo? But still do the same. Don't assume that you're going to feel all right about it. So try and have some. Like our flags were cool, weren't they, Sally? Because they were tall and they stuck out. It was like,
yeah. Oh, they're really, yeah. I mean, they're very necessary, actually, when you think about it.
So don't know, Don.
Nobody got lost because of the flags.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, ironically, it was like we were like the competition of the flags. But I do think they are a rallying, and there's a bit of a safety thing in it. Not the same as the flag shaggers, but certainly
Protect
just
our
as
women
a way.
And girls.
Yeah, just to try to get us together, I think, and feel safe in that way. But I'm not sure. I'm really not sure, Don. I think I'm on the fence on that one. I think for me, it makes a sense of like, right, well, I can't shy off. I'm not gonna go back. I'm gonna stand my ground.
Yeah.
But do you know what I was talking about the other day, Nina? It was fascinating to me. With like, I know I've got all my health conditions and my chronic fatigue. After the Liverpool demo, I was in bed for 3 days. I was toast. My body was just wasted, which is the cost I have to pay for like normaling for a day. I knew that was going to be the case.
Right.
London, much longer day. I was quite tired on the Sunday because it was a totally different vibe, wasn't it?
It's more uplifting.
And then I had a really good week because I was all full of hope and togetherness, and I'm not on my own, and that's the effect it can have on people.
Yeah, definitely. Like it was a festival atmosphere, wasn't it, all the way down, and on every corner there was music or dancing.
It was great.
There was something in the air. I'm not particularly spiritual anyway, but I did feel like there was something in the air. There was something. I nearly started singing. Then there's something in the air. Is that a song? There was like I wasn't.
I think so.
I stayed up. I had something to eat, something to drink when I got back. Didn't think I would be because I was exhilarated. But it was like a 5-hour coach down, 5-hour march, and 5-hour coach back. It was a bit like, oh my God. But it was fab. And not
just doing a lot of heavy lifting. It was more of a shuffle.
Yes, it was. It was like no alcohol. Didn't need to drink. It was.
Who drinks on a demo? I mean, we know the answer to that, but you know.
The far right do, yeah, don't they? But yeah.
You're there for a job of work. What are you doing?
I know, but it was like that, wasn't it? It was like, God, I mean, I feel like quite giddy here with all of the, I don't know, well, again, I mean, it sounds really naff, doesn't it? But that once the numbers were there and once we knew it worked, we were riding a high. And I did feel like a hope for the future. I felt like a hope for my nephews and my nieces for the future. And I was just going to think, because I look at them, I haven't got any daughters.
Your pupils?
But yeah, the students, and then I've got like my son's partner is a young woman. He's just got a girlfriend, and I think about her, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, like, are we going backwards? What the hell? But that kind of put me on the straight and narrow again, I think.
No, that's great. Yeah, that story, you told me that last week on the pod, didn't you, Sal, about how you felt so much more uplifted after the London March. I'm writing an article based on what you've said.
Which made no sense physically.
Well, no, but it makes sense.
That was the point.
It makes sense politically as well when you think about the sort of reform, etc. Everything is negative by design, and it's designed to put everyone down. Whereas that march brought everyone up, and the contrast in what the Green Party are doing. Particularly at the moment, but not only them, but it giving people positivity rather than negativity, and the political kind of alignment is quite interesting.
Yeah, it's like when Denton and Gorton, when they, despite what all the media, what the state media had said about reform taking it, where they were, you know, there was no way that was going. So you know it's not real. You know the reporting is not real, but nevertheless it's incessant. So you think maybe it is real, so we'll have to be guarded. And then obviously they won, and it was a 3-horse race actually. So they won massively. That was, you know, you were so relieved. We were so relieved after that. It was like, oh my goodness.
It was.
Oh my, it was like, oh.
It was amazing, wasn't it?
So, you know, the threat is there, and you know the media are kind of hyping it up and reporting really badly on really important issues and not challenging half of the nonsense. And then there's light, and you're like, oh my God, there's light, you know. So it's kind of hold those two things at the same time. Yeah. And it was like, oh my God. But nevertheless, you know, when we went through the pandemic, we went through you know, for women who were suffering from domestic abuse, we went through this really challenging time because everyone was like, no, get her home. And we were in our sector, we were like, home is not a safe place for our women. But all the union movement and the labour movement, all the socialists were saying, you know, this virus is the worst thing. And it was like, well, hang on a minute. The home has been the worst thing and is the worst thing. And women are dying in the home. You know, 2 to 3 women are dying every week by people they know, not by strangers coming over on boats or refugees in hotels, by their partners, increasingly by their sons, unfortunately, by their ex-partners, you know, people who are supposed to love them. And you're thinking, this has been going on before the pandemic. We have an epidemic of domestic abuse in this country, majoritatively by white men. So hang on a second. And that's never been, it's never really raised its platform. You know, it's like when we think about big issues like disability and LGBT and trans and all those issues of prejudice and oppression, awful. Domestic abuse always seems to be, you know, for the scale of it and the amount of it, just does not seem to get the focus it should. And if it does, it's not in a sustained way. And I'm just like, that's what's really...
It's like a little campaign here and there.
Yeah, it's almost like it's been allowed to sit underneath the shelf, although it isn't a shelf, and come and go and come and go and come and go. And ironically, it did take the pandemic to get more funding for the sector. But then you were thinking, oh, you're only doing that to try to placate a bigger problem, a really, really big problem that we have that's not coming to schools, not getting into education. You know, it's not really getting into the training of professionals. It's still allowing to stay there. And that's what, again, also propelled me from one of your early questions to get involved, because that sort of curious situation we're in is just drove me batty, actually. It's just like, hang on a minute, we've had an epidemic of domestic abuse for decades. But all of the funding came out for the pandemic, for the virus, but not for domestic abuse. So, yeah, that's sort of the reason why I'm involved at kids level.
It's
Fair enough. It's very
multi-layered, isn't it?
underreported. Yeah.
In that it's not just. See, my thing, Nina, is like I study psychology, and other people's psychologies, because I think this is what we're missing as a species. We're not paying any attention to dangerous predatory psychological disorders, which is literally the root of all of our problems. And capitalism has created a circumstance where the greediest and most selfish and dangerous and predatory get to the top of the triangle. What the fuck is that? And everyone's dying and getting mass murdered, and we're like, oh, why is this happening? Well, the human brain is more important than like wanting to be rich and all of that, because humanity. And but then it's also the courts are a problem. Is it a 2% successful conviction rate we've got on SA and rape? Or domestic violence, maybe? I think it's SA and rape. But it's
quite minuscule.
Everything that affects women isn't taken seriously. That's the long and the short of it, isn't it?
You know, it's funny the way you talked about the psychology of how people getting into leadership roles, because one of the things that absolutely drives me insane is that people think that leaders need to be strong, like the old-fashioned strong, you know, the military strong, the Napoleonic strong. And you're thinking, no, a leader needs to be compassionate and needs to listen. And everybody you speak to, every ordinary person, you think, right, well, why did Jeremy Corbyn not stay as Labour Party leader? Oh, he wasn't strong enough, he wasn't forthright enough. And you're thinking, no, he got screwed by the Labour Party staff.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
He was
betrayed.
Like Tony Benn, and like a lot of other great leaders on the Labour movement, he was compassionate. He was anti-racist, anti-fascist. He was experienced. And we switched him, well, apart from for the lawyer, the bureaucrat, you know, for people like Boris Johnson, absolute clowns. And even what was his name? Cameron. David Cameron was a radical, and they couldn't see that he was a radical. Absolutely radical. Overhauled government, the Conservative Party, and they just ran with it from then, didn't he? And then he backed off because of Brexit. And it's a bit like, they're not seeing that, you know, from a psychological point of view, we need compassion, human people like Gandhi to be leaders and think that, not like, you know, like Farage, who just talks absolute
bringing a terrorist into it, Nina.
No, so you know, like even people go
Farage?
even on the right.
Gandhi was a terrorist
once. Don't think you're thinking how soft
they do.
So, my God.
Yeah, but and also both people who were defending their own countries from being invaded by other countries. That apparently is what makes you a terrorist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Get me started on that. Yeah, get me started on that. Yeah.
Oh, goodness me.
I just literally just opened Twitter 2 seconds ago, and you know, it's just continuous bombardment by reform, and it's just Nigel Farage's put a post out saying only reform will protect women and girls. Like they're really like leapt on this bandwagon, haven't they? That and then misusing their sort of intention completely.
Is there an asterisk as long as they've been attacked by foreign rapists?
Well, that was yesterday's press
the other
conference,
83% of us don't matter to them.
No.
It's
I mean,
like we were saying, Nina, they don't have one policy, not one.
No.
That is solid on anything.
No.
And somehow they're being taken seriously. What the fuck? There's 7 of them.
Well, people who they're not going for that, are they? For people who are going to read the policies, and go, oh, I'll just read the
not at all.
policy, shall I? They're not even going for that. They're going for sound bites, the populism, the easy, simple thing. I mean, this is one of the things we used to say in our union, you know, how can we make something complicated simple? Because we need some not like a sound bitey, but something which captures it in a simple way so that it can really resonate. You know, a bit like art. Art says so much sometimes in a very simple way. Because they seem to be able to do that quite effectively, unfortunately. Whereas on the left, it's crock. So it's a bit like, how can we do it in a meaningful way without losing what we mean, you know, and being able to resonate with people, you know, like the Together lines.
It's trying to find middle ground, isn't it?
Yeah, love is better. You know, love is better. We felt it, didn't we, on that day? Love is better. Hope over hate, that sort of stuff. And I think we need to. Somebody said on the Stop Reform event last night, trying to keep something positive rather than negative, because there's so much we can say about Farage and Reform and all of the far right groups about how awful they are and how despicable they are, but we need to be able to do it in a positive way when we're explaining or canvassing with groups up until the May elections. So that's the kind of the challenge for us, is to be able to do that in a way that is meaningful, and holding on to that feeling that we got from that day, really.
And
it's really difficult to count
repeatedly.
It's really difficult to counter people like Farage and Rupert Lowe without sinking to their level. That's a difficulty, and I find that when I'm writing as well. And you don't want to sink to that base level that they use to get to their audience. But so it's a really tricky kind of situation. They're very good and practiced at what they do. You know, they've been doing it. They've got well-funded
grifting
and a well-worn playbook from America that they're using. So yeah, it's really tricky to kind of make an inroad into that without sinking as low as they do.
Yeah. I mean, I think we need every possible strategy. We need the creatives, because that's what they do, don't they? They ponder with problems, like how can we present this in a way which is meaningful to people that aren't engaging yet, or aren't biting for the urgency that we've been speaking about, and do it in a creative and positive way. So we need the creators, we need the social aspect, we need the cultural aspect, and we also need some direct action. We need some, you know, streetwise sort of groups as well. Because I think that's what really mattered to me on the 21st, is that all the groups had come together to have an effect. You know, we were communicating.
Under an umbrella.
Yeah, and it seemed to work really well. I'd gone to an event 2 nights before. Again, it just come into my inbox. It was like, there's an event in my community. All the groups are coming together to try to share something just for an hour. Could have missed it, but on that event, I met with anti-fascists that I'd never met before, and straight away we were able to communicate and get ourselves moved so that we stopped them from marching. It was likely to work out anyway, because there was more counter protesters than them, but I think it just made it much more effective that we were able to meet each other and go, right, get this message, this is the way we're going to do it. Get us organised in that way.
Have a strategy.
Yeah, there was. And so rather than just turning up, it was there was a strategy going on. Now, we don't always know what's going on all of the time, do we? We just kind of saw going, oh God, some of us are there, and some of us are there, and some of us are there. There's a strategy going on, which
but you can see the flags.
Which was really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. What was I going to say then? No, it's gone falling out my head.
So what's next? What have you got next lined up?
Right. So we've got an organiser meeting on Monday night. We do need more organisers, but there's a handful of us. There's about 9 of us who will, I suppose, go over some of the ideas that came out of the Stop Reform meeting last night, and see what's going to work well for our area. Start making a probably bit of a list, and then we'll get that out to our wider WhatsApp and email group. So we've got about 150 maybe. There's about 130 odd on the WhatsApp, and then there's an email group as well that only want to be communicated by email. So I'm saying kind of...
That's just the Merseyside group, isn't it? Because it's all over the UK, this.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask if you link into the other groups.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's obviously the Manchester group. They had their launch a month before ours. So they're already set up, and they'll be keeping their eye on the ball for their Manchester events. Then there's ours for St Helens and Halton, Knowsley, Wirral. So hopefully we'll get a bit of a calendar going for that, running up to the May elections.
Yeah.
So we've got something to kind of work on. So it's basically getting together. So it's like I said at the launch, we've got monthly events right up into the election. So that's what we've had: the launch, the local demos, the big one in London, now the May. So I think April is going to be all around canvassing, leafleting, speaking to people, getting visible, and getting our women out really in groups that they feeling they can come to. St Helens will be one on Saturday, and then I'm sure those dates will be coming. So one of the main things we said at the launch was just prioritize prioritize our communications, because that's when you're expected to turn up really and get to as many of them as possible. So I think that's the short term. And then after the May elections, I'm sure something else will happen that we need to kind of start organising for as well. We want to have some more meetings. We want to have some socials. Want to do some, get people together, get some flags, get some T-shirts, have some music. Do that as well. Keep us going. Get to know. Get out of the house. Do podcasts like this, as well at the same time as going to the protests and demos and the harder work and the legwork. Really. Oh, there's going to be a coach, isn't there, down to London for the 16th of May. So I'm sure that'll happen. That'll be on the list to organise or get people to as well. I'm not going to jump on that one actually. I'll need another couple of months before I end up going on a coach down to London again. But I'll see how I feel a bit close to the time.
It's going to be an interesting one, that though, isn't it?
Oh my God, yeah. I think that's going to have a different vibe, for sure.
Yeah, it will, I reckon.
I'll see how
anything
it goes.
involving that little goblin, and normally ends up in trouble, doesn't it? So,
what I would like to say, just while we're here and we're doing this, we recorded our next 2 episodes last night, and they are, well, I can't remember which one it is, but it's full of far-right hilarity. It's well worth listening to.
The what? Sorry,
because the far-right hilarity.
My far-right roundup.
Discussing the week that they've had.
A little
it's not
bit
going
of
well for
positive.
them.
It isn't, no. Not with Ryan Bridge, Danny Tomo being arrested last week. That was quite nice.
And Ryan Ferguson, they're all behind. Oh no, he's not behind bars yet, is he?
No, he got nicked, but yeah. But Joey Barton as well. Always nice to see those guys in prison.
Yeah, because they're all part of the problem, aren't they? When you see people getting away with murder, really. It drives me.
Literally, that's how it works, isn't it? Oh, well, if he can get away with it, it's the Boris Johnson effect. If he can do it, so can I. Fuck it.
Exactly.
And that's how we've got here.
Yeah.
It's obscene.
Exactly that.
It's hideous what he did. It's hideous. And what he's continued to do for a long time. So, yeah, it's come home to roost now, hasn't it? And he's not he's not the worst.
He certainly
it placates things, doesn't it, when you see people who've been football or sports, any sport, and they get away with it, and you're like, you can't be getting away with that, because there's a whole generation of young boys, young men and young women who are following you, and thinking that behaviour's okay.
There is a social responsibility to be had, It's outrageous.
Yeah, definitely.
But on that
nice
bombshell, we can say it today. We normally say we finish with a bombshell, but we didn't dare say it yesterday. So
no, we were a bit unsure last night. So. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thanks so much, Nina, for chatting to us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, if there's anything,
I will see you soon. Just don't know when.
If there's any links you want us to share, I'll put them in the show notes. Drop Sal a text or whatever, and I can sort of publish your socials or anything else you need doing. But other than that,
that'd
really
be great.
appreciate you.
Yeah,
thank you so much for coming on.
I'll swizz them over to you.
Yeah,
in
anything
a minute,
you want
Sally.
to publish or push. Yeah.
Wicked.
That'd be great.
That'd be smashing.
Cool.
Well, I won't be there
And
in
if
St.
everyone
Helens
could
on
like, share,
Saturday.
subscribe.
Oh, great. I will do. St. Helens, be hopeful. There'll be plenty of people there. I'll be thinking about you. If my calendar changes on Saturday, I will be there, but up to now I can't. But yeah, I'll be definitely sending lots and lots of positive vibes. So good one. Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Speak to you soon.
No worries at all. And Sal will report back on Saturday. Right. Take care.
Bye.
Speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.